Today we're talking about the big one, the Pano 22, a 22-inch marine display compatible with Garmin and Lowrance units. And we're going to talk through the features, the attributes, the benefits, and help you understand why this might be a good fit for your boat and help you catch some more fish. Let's talk about just how big this thing is. It's just under 21 inches wide, total width without the knobs. For comparison's sake, this is an 8612 sun cover. You can see it here. And this is how small that is compared to this. So that should give you an idea of how big this thing is. This is a monster screen, and it's really, really good if you're running multiple people on your boat, right? You're a guide, you've got two people that are a little bit backed off the screen, and you want to be able to have everybody see it. Or if you just want the biggest, baddest screen on the boat, there's a 22-inch screen for you. Jumping into the sun cover. The sun cover is something that we're pretty proud of. So you slide it up, you slide it off. And this is a very hard plastic. It's actually machined plastic, and it's not very compliant. You know, the silicone covers are great for bumps and bruises, but this is really gonna help you out if you get a pretty major impact. Like I wouldn't say you drop it, but if you bump something really heavy on it, this guy's gonna help you out because it's very, very dense. It's actually a couple of pounds by itself and will help protect that screen. So you can see we've got this paired up with the 8612. And you've got full capability just as you would if you're driving at the console off that 8612 unit. You've got full touch capability, and you've got that super wide 21.5-inch diagonal screen. So from a mapping standpoint, you can really see what things are going on. You've got full touch capability to let that thing sync up. And you can see where your next spot's gonna be, where your next run's gonna be. Of course, we're all interested in LiveScope, so you jump over to LiveScope. I've got this in simulator mode here, and you can really see there's a lot going on here. And what I've noticed personally about running one of these bigger screens on my boat, I'm on the 19, is that target separation. And yeah, it's all 1080p, but as you start to separate those targets out, you can see bass within the bait balls much clearer. You can separate closely packed fish much better, and you can really get that behavior out of them. So I've noticed when those fish are turning, when they're moving, when they're responding to what's going on, you can get that more detail when you run it on a bigger screen versus squinting down on maybe a 12-inch screen. So let's talk about what's driving this thing a little bit. So this is a full 1080p resolution LCD screen. It has a 1001 contrast ratio, which is really the blacks, the deeper blacks that you're going to get out of it. And across the marine industry, if you see someone marketing deep blacks, they're all running LCD screens. And unless they're advertising, specifically advertising like a 3001 contrast ratio, you can pretty much expect very similar results. Not saying they're exact same, but I would definitely ask, what is your contrast ratio if that's something that you have a question about, or if deep blacks, like if you run it on LiveScope, become important because you want to have that separation between your ambers and your blacks. Let's touch on anti-glare for a second. That's something we're pretty proud of. We have a very strong anti-glare. There's a trade-off with brightness when you start to bring in more anti-glare, but really we're running these things outside. We get a lot of glare on it. So the more matte finish, the more anti-glare you can get on it. We find that to be very helpful. We've gotten a lot of strong feedback that people really like that, especially coming from other screens. There's a very bright light shining over here on the display, and it's not washing it all out. I can still perfectly see exactly what I want to see, and that's what we're getting after. If you want to see that in more detail, we have an NBT versus a Get Fish Marine display. It's an old Mark I unit, but the same glass applies, and you can really see how they compare and which might be a good fit for you. How do you connect this thing? So this comes with all the cables you need to get it up and running. It comes with a DC power cable that you run to your battery. It comes with an IP67 HDMI cable and an IP67 USB cable that runs to your Garmin unit. These are all, like if I haven't said it enough, IP67 waterproof rated. So they're all good to go in your marine application. Let it get wet, let it get rained on. Everything's gonna be just fine. They're 26-foot long cables. When we first started, we had 5-meter cables. We got some feedback that they're a little bit short, a little bit tight. They worked, but they're a little bit tight. We went ahead and stretched that out to 8-meter cables. So make sure everybody's got enough run to put the cables where they want them, route the way they want them, and not have to try to make that corner straight. Weight-wise, this thing comes in about 16 pounds. It's substantially lighter than the Mark I units that we had before. We've reduced the glass size on it, and we've gone from a steel to an aluminum cradle or pivot mount, and that's helped us save quite a bit of weight. Just comparatively, a 12-inch Garmin XSV is about 9 pounds. Overall width on this thing is just a shy of 21 inches ear to ear without the knobs. We say without the knobs because we include flush hardware if you need that, or pan head hardware if you need that. But this thing is wide. So make sure that you check that out before you buy it, before you get it there, that it's gonna fit on your boat. We've had some folks that maybe their eyes are bigger than their stomach, you know, that maybe they should have bought a 19, they went with the 22 because the prices are the way they are. And definitely please make sure that it's gonna fit for your setup before it shows up, because it's easy to go ahead and make the jump from the 19 to the 22. I totally understand that. Make sure it fits. If you have any questions about compatibility, we have an entire compatibility guide on our website that talks through the different Garmin models and what to expect with them. And some of that you'll see the different aspect ratios. So if you're running like an 8612, that's what this guy is. This is a 16:9 aspect ratio screen. It's 9 units tall, 16 units wide, 16:9. If you're running like a 1243, it's a little bit more square. It's a 16:10 aspect ratio screen. Why do we care about that? When you order your screen, we're going to ask you which one you're running. If you're running a 1243 or an 8610, those 16:10 aspect ratio screens, we're going to reformat it before it leaves here so that you get the entire use of your screen. It's going to stretch that out and fill the entire screen so you get edge-to-edge LiveScope on your screen. That's also going to fix a second issue that sometimes happens if you have an installation with the black bars on the sides, or pillar boxing is what that's called. What happens when you get that is you usually get a touch screen disconnect. Like I'm gonna try to touch this button, but it's gonna register off. There's gonna be an offset there. So when we ask that question and we reformat the screen to make sure it gets, it aligns with which unit you're running, that's to make sure that the screen is filled side to side and that your touch screen is gonna be 100% accurate. So you're not gonna have any offset when you're making these changes at the corners of the screen. Garmin likes to put buttons at the corners of the screen, and if your touch offset is off, you may not be able to hit those buttons. So we're gonna make sure that's right and get you set up and running with the exact setup that you need before it heads out the door. If you have any other questions that I haven't covered, please feel free to comment down below on the video or reach out to us on the contact form over at getfishmarine.com, and we'll get back to you. Thanks for coming along, and we'll see you on the next video or maybe out on the water.